Biggest problem, and you're going to see me talk about this through all the products, is fragrance. Fragrance is essentially a black box. We do not know what is in it. Companies can put any chemicals they want.
How you got into the world of switching to non-toxic.
The air inside our homes is more polluted than the air outside because that's a cheat that the beauty industry uses. They'll just put a fragrance in something that they know is irresistible. It's like addictive, right? So people keep buying it. The number one cause of allergies, like on the eyelids and the neck, it's not the skincare, it's the shampoo.
Wondering if you have any other natural switches that you recommend for hair or for skin.
Yeah, sure.
What expecting moms put on their belly to prevent stretch marks. Oh, it's so nice to talk to you today. I'm super excited.
You too. Me too. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I am so excited. I have to tell you, Andrea, that switching to non-toxic is probably one of my favorite topics in the world right now. So that is me trying not to underplay my excitement to talk to you today. I'm so happy.
I am excited because I'm obsessed with this topic and I could talk about it all day. So I'm happy to talk to you.
I know. And I've been following you on socials, and I think that you really are so good at educating and empowering. And I love your stories. Yeah, I love your little reels and all the switch that you do. And of course, we're going to talk about your app. But first, I'm really curious to talk about how you got into the world of switching to non-toxic.
Yeah, sure. So I was pregnant with my twins back in 2014. I have twin boys, and I just started looking at products to see what was safe for pregnant women, really safe for pregnant, safe for babies. And I started catching wind of things that were inconsistent. So I would see articles like such and such products aren't safe, but then they would still be on the shelves. And I started digging. I started looking into ingredients and reading the studies. I'm like, I came to the realization this stuff is not regulated. So even though it's on the shelf, it doesn't mean that it's been tested for safety. Brands can basically put out whatever they want. And the more that I learn, the more I realize I have to do this on my own, because in the US, the FDA is not safety testing all these products before they go on the shelf. And there's researchers that are checking ingredients and finding out that they could be potentially harmful, but these ingredients are still being used in our everyday products. And so I researched ingredients, and it's one of those things where once you know a little bit and a light bulb goes off and you kind of can't unlearn it. And I just became very into finding clean products. It just blew my mind that this wasn't already accounted for and that it was left up to the consumer. And I've been very passionate about sharing that information with other people because I know that they need this too.
I'm so glad to hear that. I have to make a little bit of a sort of announcement as to how I got into non-toxic switches. It's just going to sound so silly, but for as long as I can remember, I've been wearing lipstick. It's part of my brand. I'm always wearing lipstick. I love my makeup. And then I came across a study that was showing how much lipstick women eat through a lifetime. Right?
Yes.
And I went to my husband, who was sitting in the living room, like sort of screaming and crying, being like, oh my goodness, I am actually going to die. This is how much lipstick I've been eating. And of course, here is the confession. I was choosing the brand, I won't necessarily name them, but the one that have the longest wear, the waterproof one. And then I was mortified when I looked at the ingredient list of my beloved lipsticks and so the amount of toxic forever chemicals, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have literally been eating this crap for 15 years. What do we do next?
Right. And you would never know. And lipstick, when you think about it, you're right. You're ingesting it, and the chemicals that make it so attractive are also the ones make it attractive in marketing are the ones that we should be avoiding. The chemicals that make it last all day are the toxic PFA chemicals. And, I feel like it's these really shocking ingredients that are hiding in plain sight, the ones that are drawing us in. Like I can remember when I was looking for things to put on the baby registry or baby products to buy. I mean, the big one is baby powder. Everybody uses baby powder, but baby powder has talc in it that is known to be contaminated with asbestos. That is a carcinogen. I couldn't believe that this was a product that many people use their entire lives, and it's now linked to ovarian cancer because people are putting it in their undergarments, and it's wild. And in that particular case, the company has known for decades and decades and decades, but continued to make talc baby powder, and people put it on their babies and their babies breathe it in and it causes mesothelioma. So it's these really things that we use every single day. And there are things that we can't control that are in our environment. But I just feel like products, like you're saying, lipstick, this is something that is not, it's a need in a way, but there are safer options, and we have the ability to choose better. So why not? There's safer options. And so I feel like it's the low hanging fruit, and it's the thing that everybody should be changing.
100%. And I have not stopped wearing lipstick. I just started
There you
wearing
go. Yeah.
kind of lipsticks.
Yes. It's amazing the clean brands out there. There's lipsticks that work just as well. They're beautiful colors that don't have those chemicals. So
100%. And your skin reacts differently. What I would love to do together, Andrea, and I hope that's a good plan for you, is I would love to go room by room in our house
let's do
to
it.
have a little bit of, and I know this is going to be scary. So, listener, brace yourself, because if you are a lover, like I used to be, of your favorite scented candles and other toxic crap, just brace yourself, because we're about to break some serious bubbles here. So let's do it. I have 3 rooms in particular I want to focus on, and if I left any, I want you to throw it in. But I would love to talk about bathroom. I would love to talk about kitchens. And I would love to talk about our bedrooms and our wardrobes. So which one do we start with first?
Yeah. Let's start with bathroom. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I think, like you mentioned, candles. So the thing with candles is there's several big problems. The biggest problem, and you're going to see me talk about this through all the products, is fragrance. So fragrance is essentially a black box. We do not know what is in it. Companies can put any chemicals they want, hundreds, and just call it fragrance. They don't have to tell us what they're using. The problem is studies are showing that what's in there is actually really toxic. So something called phthalates, which makes the scent last a really long time, is harmful. Dr. Shanna Swan actually has been studying this for a really long time. And there's a book called Countdown, if anybody is interested. It's an excellent read, and it talks about the decline in sperm count and how it is linked to phthalate exposure. So, and when the mother is exposed, when it harms a developing fetus, phthalates are a big one, and it's in fragrance. So if you have candles that are scented and they say fragrance on them, there's unknown chemicals in there. It could be phthalates. So that's a big problem. And same thing with the room sprays, anything that's going to make the bathroom smell good. And most cleaners, so whatever you're using to wipe your countertops with, that has fragrance in it as well. And speaking of cleaners, couple things here. So there's volatile organic compounds that are getting into the air. It's basically the air inside our homes is more polluted than the air outside because all the chemicals we use, and it basically gets trapped in. Not a lot of people are opening their doors and windows. The air isn't circulating. So whatever you're spraying in your home, just think about, in a worst case scenario, it's just going to stay in there, and you're going to breathe it in, and while you're sleeping and while you're in your home, you're going to be breathing these toxic chemicals in. And so another thing in the bathroom, I would say, is people are using disinfectants, and a lot of the disinfectants are leading to antibiotic resistance. It's overkill. So we're trying to kill all of these bacteria all the time, every day, but they have toxic side effects. And there are safer disinfectants. So I don't use a disinfectant every day, but in my bathroom, I might when I do a deep clean, right? Or if someone is sick in the home and you need to disinfect, there's a brand called Force of Nature that makes a safer disinfectant that you could use in the bathroom. But for everyday wiping down the countertops and the tubs, you don't need a strong disinfectant. Most of those, and you've heard of triclosan because it kind of was buzzy at some point. It's a harmful disinfectant that was used even in toothpaste for a long time. And they finally have sort of phased that out. You definitely don't want triclosan. There's benzalkonium chloride, chloroxylenol. These are hard to pronounce. A lot of these words are really long, but you don't need those disinfectants. You don't need the strong fragrant products. You just want unscented, and you want to just clean up the germs, wipe them away. We don't need to be disinfecting everything all the time. What else is in the bathroom? Did I touch on everything?
Well, I want to go back to what you talked about, which is the perfumes, the fragrance, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm thinking about all these women out there or men listening and in love with their daily spray of their favorite parfum. What do we do there? Do we stop using perfume altogether? Do we stop using aftershave? What if we just like to spray it on our neck? What is a safer alternative? What do we do?
Yeah, that's a great point. And a lot of people think when they think of fragrance being harmful, they think, oh, if it touches your skin. But the problem is also inhaling it. So that's something you need to consider. But thankfully, there are safer options. So there's a few brands that make 100% natural perfumes and fragrances. And these have been used for many, many years. So if you think way, way back when perfume was made, before all these synthetics came on the market, they used components of essential oils basically to make these fragrances, and they're much safer and they're time tested compared to new synthetic compounds that come out, they make in a lab that are cheaper, and then 2 years later they find out they're super toxic, like the musks. Those are endocrine disruptors and things like that. So go for one of the brands that has 100% natural and transparent. So a lot of the fragrance brands will say, oh, they'll list you the key notes in the fragrance or the perfume, but that's not a full ingredient list. You need to know, make sure they're giving you every single ingredient and not just a description of what it's going to smell like. So you can choose better there. And then another thing I like to point out is we don't need everything to be fragrance. Like if we're going to spray perfume on ourselves, we enjoy it, wonderful, or rub some on our lotion on our skin, that's great. But we don't need our trash bags to smell. We don't need our makeup to have a smell. We want to just intentionally use perfume to smell as it's intended.
I think that's a really healthy reminder as well to watch out for that. How would you know if you are in your bathroom right now listening to this podcast, if your perfume is natural or not natural? What would you need to look out for?
Go to the company's website, and if they are natural, they will state it clearly and they will list out, it'll say full ingredient list. Make sure it doesn't say key ingredients or highlighted ingredients. You want a full list, and you want to make sure in that list it doesn't say fragrance. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that means that there are other ingredients that are hidden behind that ingredient. And then another ingredient I like to point out in fragrance is something called alcohol denat or denatured alcohol. So a base of a lot of perfumes is alcohol, which some use organic cane alcohol, which is great. But when it says alcohol denat, it means they're using alcohol that has been cut with a chemical. And what that does is it allows a company to avoid the beverage tax. So you have to pay a beverage tax if you're using pure alcohol. So they kind of take this shortcut, this cheaper shortcut, but what they're cutting the alcohol with could be a harmful substance like phthalate or T-butyl alcohol. So it's better if it just says organic alcohol and you don't want the alcohol denat. So those are two things you can look out for in the fragrance category when you're looking at that long ingredient list. And I always encourage people to reach out to brands because you can learn so much just by asking simple questions. And you want to purchase from thoughtful brands that are doing their best to give you the safest product, and they are more than happy to give you all the details. And they love to talk about all the steps that they've taken to make sure the product is safe. So if you get one of those types of answers, you're probably in the right spot. If you get an answer that is sort of deflecting the question, that doesn't understand the question, it's probably not a brand that you want to be buying from. And another thing I want to point out about the bathroom in general, it's usually a smaller space. It's a confined space. Women are spraying, air. There's a lot of aerosol products. So we've got aerosol deodorant, which are aerosol hairsprays, which are actually horrible for the environment and not good for us to be inhaling because the way that the aerosol works is with propane and butane, which are flammable propellants. That's why they have warnings on them, like do not get it hot, don't leave it, don't spray. It actually says, I think, don't spray in enclosed areas, which is precisely where we use it. So do away with the aerosols. I have a great hairspray that I like that's just a pump spray. It works perfectly. The aerosols really, it's one of those things that really just shouldn't be made, period, today, aerosols. And so if you can avoid those across the board, that's a good step as well.
And what do you think about our shampoos and conditioners? The reason I ask is because I'm really mindful about making smart switches. And I was horrified just the other day when I bought what I thought would be a really healthy shampoo and conditioner. It said big label, 98% from natural ingredient, and then you flip it and you look at the 2 remaining percent and it's just a bunch of crap. So what are the things that we need to be aware of? Because of course our shampoos and our conditioners are packed with those fragrances, along with silicone, along with a lot of toxic chemicals. What should we watch out for?
You're exactly right. Fragrance is a big one in shampoos because a lot of people use their shampoo simply because, like, they'll tell you, "Oh, I love my shampoo. It smells so good." That's a huge draw. It's kind of like how flavors and food draw people in, make them where they can't stop eating them. I feel like that's a cheat that the beauty industry uses. They'll just put a fragrance in something that they know is irresistible. It's like addictive, right? So people keep buying it. So fragrance is a big one, but this is a super interesting tidbit I'll tell you about shampoo. I spoke with a dermatologist who specializes in allergies, and she says the number one cause of allergies, like on the eyelids and the neck, it's not the skincare, it's the shampoo. There are so many allergenic preservatives that are commonly used in shampoos, irritate your scalp. I mean, it can lead to all sorts of problems, and you would never think the shampoo. But when you're shampooing and conditioning your hair, it runs down your face, all over your entire body. And on top of that, your scalp is porous, so you're absorbing very, very much so through your scalp, but then the rest of your body. So it's really an important category to think about. There have been lawsuits and shampoos that are causing hair loss, causing scalp irritation. And it's wild that they're using these harsh preservatives in shampoos where they're really not necessary, because there are clean shampoos that don't have them. A lot of them use surfactants that are ethoxylated compounds. So like sodium lauryl sulfate, because it's an ethoxylated compound, it's made with ethylene oxide, and it can have carcinogenic byproducts. So anytime I talk about an ethoxylated compound, these are used in cleaning products as well. You want to avoid those because they can have these harmful contaminants. Those are some of the big ones, I would say, with shampoo. Shampoo is a tricky category, I think, for a lot of people because they're so used to the foaming and and you mentioned silicones. That the silicones is really what gives your hair that soft, silky, it coats the strands, that feeling. It's in a lot of conditioners. It's in a lot of hair serums, actually. Many hair serums, almost all will have silicones because they're so lightweight and they make the hair detangle. They do a lot of good stuff, but there are some of them that are actually really bad. So if you are associated with reproductive toxicity, they're not even allowed in the EU. Those would be like cyclopentasiloxane. It's a mouthful. I wouldn't say that silicones across the board are all toxic, but there are a certain few that are particularly ones that you should avoid. And silicones, they do make that hair soft, so you're not going to get that with a natural shampoo. So what I suggest is really using styling products to your benefit. Use a detangler, use other oils and serums to make up for that loss if you're using silicone-free hair care and shampoo.
I have recently experimented with using a lot more natural ingredients. So, for example, I've experimented with honey mask, actually pure honey. I've experimented with putting argan oil on my hair. I've experimented with coconut oil, and I've experimented with castor oil as well. And I have to say that at
Wonderful.
first, it takes a bit of getting used to because you don't have all this kind of lush feel and all the smell of all the lotions and potions, like the strawberry or cherry or tropical fruit smell. And it smells like the raw ingredient, your honey and your oils. But my hair is healthiest than it's ever been before. And it did take a little bit of adjustment period, but it's grown longer. It's grown stronger. I would love for you to
That's
share with us.
amazing. Yeah, what is your favorite out of all the
I
masks
am
you've done?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of using coconut oil, especially towards
Yeah.
the end, like just a little bit to replace the serum. I used to buy very expensive serum for my hair for the ends to shine. And like I washed my hair this morning and I just used like a tiny bit of coconut oil on the end, and it gives that really nice, shiny, lushy effect without any of the silicones.
Wonderful. Yes, I love that. Yeah.
I was wondering if you have any other natural switches that you recommend for hair or for skin?
Yeah, sure.
If you're enjoying this show so far, I just have a very quick favor to ask you. Could you go ahead and click the follow button or the subscribe button? It would mean so much to me, and it would really help to grow our show so that we can enhance the production, we can bring you the best possible guests, and we can have the most amazing conversations. So if you haven't already done this, please take a moment today to go ahead and click the follow button or the subscribe button. Thank you so much. And now let's go back to this amazing conversation.
Yeah, so on the hair topic, a couple things that I like to recommend. So, because you're not going to get as much suds as you would with a regular shampoo, I recommend shampooing twice in a row. This has helped my hair so much. If I ever feel like there's buildup, I'll shampoo once, shampoo again. The second time gets a lot more foam and really helps with the buildup, and then condition. And I also like to rotate products. I think that is really helpful. And then I do the oil, like you said, I actually will soak my whole head in oil. Well, whatever kind of hair oil I have, I've tried a bunch of different ones before I go swimming, and also before I shower. I'll do this before I shampoo on occasion. So get it fully soaked and then shampoo and condition. And it really is like a nice treatment. I feel like it counteracts a lot of the dryness and the brittleness in hair. So those are a few tips.
I love that. Now let's talk about our face. So in the bathroom, typically we spend a huge amount of time rubbing lotions and potions all over our body. We're thinking anti-wrinkle creams. We're thinking hydration cream. We're thinking mask, serum, a bunch of toxic products, right?
Right. And I would say, just as a blanket statement, skincare, I think most people probably use too much, and also too many products. Also, you should use and introduce one very slowly, because everyone's skin is so different, and it's really difficult to know what's working for you and what's working against you when you're using all the things all the time. So if you ever have a skin issue, the first thing I do is pare everything back. So when I've had skin issues in the past, stop using everything. Just use something that one cleanser and one moisturizer or SPF that I know works, and stop everything else. And then slowly introduce like one new product every 2 weeks to figure out what really works. And like the products that I love won't be for everybody. And so it really is a trial and error. And in terms of toxicity, one thing to really look out for in all skincare is the preservatives. So parabens are associated with endocrine disruption. Then the parabens got replaced with another ingredient called phenoxyethanol, which has its issues. It's not risk-free. So one way to avoid this altogether is if you use really high quality skincare that doesn't have water. So if the product is packaged correctly, formulated correctly, and it doesn't have water, it likely does not have to have a preservative. So if you can, and those products are actually going to be a lot more concentrated. They're going to be richer. Like this face wash that I have loved for so many years. It's a Manuka honey face wash. Actually, it has no water in it. It's a very simple but beautiful ingredient list that my skin loves. It doesn't dry my skin out. I mean, I think cleanser is one of the most overlooked products. A lot of people just grab whatever cleanser they see at the grocery store, but cleansers can really do a number on your skin, especially if they're too harsh. And then you're just adding these. So these preservatives are added to kill all the bacteria, right? Because they need to be safe. They need to be shelf stable. They want them to last for a long time on the shelf. It makes it easier for the companies to do this more economically. They produce a ton of products that last forever on the shelf. It kills all the bacteria, but it's also could be killing good bacteria on your face. There's actually studies that show these preservatives, commonly used preservatives, can mess with our skin microbiome. So my thinking is, why use them if we don't have to? If we can be gentler on our skin, we don't need these harsh preservatives if we are just using products that are thoughtful in the way that they're formulated.
Thanks for letting us know. And there's such easy switches as well. I used to use a lot of chemicals for like tonic, like a little toner after I moisturize. And now I use organic rose water, which
Oh,
smells
I love that.
delicious, right?
Yes.
And I use
Yes.
one that's
Amazing.
edible grade. In other words, I can even take a little bit and put it in my tea if I feel like it. And then everything tastes like water and
Yeah.
rose. And it's just gorgeous. And it actually smells, well, just beautiful if you like flowers. And it's just
I love a rose.
100% organic rose water. And, so simple.
Yes, I love a good rose toner. In fact, yeah, my favorite one is the same. I love an organic rose toner. I think it smells beautiful. It's refreshing. My skin really likes it.
Mm.
Drinks it up.
I was wondering if you had any hack to remove your makeup.
Yes. Oh, this is one of my favorite hacks. So I think that makeup remover should just be wiped from the shelves because they're so harsh. You end up scrubbing your face, scrubbing your eyes, tugging the skin. They dry out the skin. I'm just not about makeup removers at all. But what I do instead is I take coconut oil and I actually enjoy doing this. I massage it all over my face at night. You can massage it on your eyes, so to get your mascara and your eyeliner, all that off. I massage it in really good. And then I take a warm washcloth and wipe it all away. And you'll see the makeup just comes right off. I mean, it's actually more effective than makeup remover in terms of getting everything off. It actually gives your skin some moisture. It's nourishing, and coconut oil actually is antibacterial, so it's not bad for acne prone skin. It's actually good. And then I follow up with a face wash because I can't stand having any last bit of makeup on my face, so I do that at night. And I even do it on days where I wear at the end of the day, if I've had a lot of sunscreen on or tinted SPF, it just gets it all off so that you can actually clean your face when you use your face wash or cleanser. It's wonderful. And if there are some people that react to coconut oil or coconut oil doesn't agree with them, you can use olive oil. I've used jojoba. Both of those work great. Just really olive oil from the kitchen works really well.
Yes, simplify your life, right? Use the
Yeah,
things that
really.
you could eat. It was quite
Yes.
amazing. When I lived in Bali, and one of my guru told me something that at the time didn't completely land. Sometimes you hear those messages, but you need to
Yes.
hear it a
Yes.
few
You
times.
need to hear it several times. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And at the time, the message was, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your face. And I think upon reflection, many years of, trials and error, I think there is some wisdom in that message.
I agree. And it's amazing how complicated things have become when they don't need to be. Not everything needs to be processed and separated out and formulated specifically for skincare. They're like, to me, the coconut oil is such an obvious one. It's so good for our skin, and honey too. Honey is amazing for the skin. We overthink that, and I think part of it is really the industry is at fault because how can we market this? What new product can we market to people that they don't even need? You know, people are putting on perfumes, they're putting on deodorant, both of which have a smell. Maybe they're putting on body oil or body lotion that has a smell. And now they're saying you need body spray. Why do we need that? It's just something. What else can we sell? Can we package differently? Can we tell people that they need that they don't? There's an excellent book called Clean, The Science of Skin. And he talks about the history of how these products got introduced and the reason they got introduced and how the industry has sort of led consumers to believe we need products that we don't. And so I am actually I will say this. I love products. I've always loved trying products in makeup and beauty ever since I was like 12 years old and my aunt introduced me to makeup. So I'm not saying that I don't like it all, but I do think that there's too much. We use too much. And actually, I still enjoy using products, but since switching to clean products, I buy fewer things because there were so many things that I was using that I wasn't enjoying and wasn't getting benefit out of. Like an example for me is shave cream. There's a lot of toxins in there, and the soap that I use is so amazing, the bar soap, to wash my body that it works perfectly as a shave cream. And I don't need to buy that extra can. And it's just, there's so much waste, really. And switching helps you pare down, helps you be more thoughtful about what you're purchasing, and then you realize what you don't need.
What are the biggest, harshest, most horrible things that we put on our skin day in and day out that we don't realize is loaded with toxic chemicals?
Oh, okay. I would say we haven't talked about deodorant. So I think we're all led to believe we shouldn't sweat and we shouldn't smell. And I get it. I don't want to stink either. But what's in deodorant? I should say antiperspirant. And let me define. Antiperspirant prevents you from sweating. It has aluminum in it. A true deodorant is not going to have the aluminum in it. So we put these on and it forms a barrier with our skin that clogs up our sweat ducts and we're not allowed to sweat, and therefore we don't smell. But the problem is aluminum is associated with neurotoxicity. It also has been linked to breast cancer. There's more and more studies that come out that are showing this connection. It's not something you want to be putting on your skin every day, especially not in an area if you're shaving under your arms and then you're putting this on. It's getting it's getting into our bodies. Something is not right there. And it just, to me, intuitively doesn't make sense that we should be preventing our bodies from sweating, right? So it's a naturally body function to cool ourselves down. So switching from a true antiperspirant to a deodorant is a really good, important switch to make because we're using it every single day, basically. And you want to look for a deodorant, of course, that doesn't say fragrance. So there are deodorants that smell really nice, actually, that are all natural. So I find that it's a category that's super personal because everyone has a preference and different deodorants work different for different people. So you might have to try a few, but it's a really important switch to make. Another switch that I think is important to make is sunscreen. A lot of us have had sunscreen on our bodies most of our life because when we're babies, our parents want to protect us and slather the babies up in sunscreens. The problem is most of the sunscreens on the market are using chemicals that are known to be potentially harmful. And this is where, the FDA gets it right, where they recommend mineral-only sunscreens, but that's not what's on the shelf. There's a disconnect. So you have to look for sunscreens that use zinc oxide only as the active ingredient. It's the safest ingredient. It's what's been used in diaper creams for many, many years, been used on babies, and it blocks the UVA and the UVB rays, and it does not absorb like these chemical sunscreens do. The chemical sunscreens are proven, they get absorbed into our bloodstream, and they are hormone disruptors. So if you think you're applying this day in and day out, it's this long-term consistent exposure, regardless of the dose, over a long period of time. This is affecting our bodies. It's contributing to our toxic load, and it's an easy switch. There are beautiful sunscreens out there that feel nice, that are not pasty like you imagine a mineral sunscreen. You just have to seek those out.
Let's talk about our nails.
Ooh.
I come from a French family, and my mother, to give you a little bit of a sense of how I grew up, believes in a woman doing her makeup before she eats her breakfast. She is as sophisticated and gorgeous and elegant as a woman can be. So I genuinely did not see my mother without makeup growing up because she believed she had to do that before drinking her first sip of tea or eating breakfast with my father. So, that's kind of like how I was brought up. So that's put a certain level of pressure and expectation on how you should look.
Yeah.
And of course, you will never catch my mom without her nails perfectly done and perfectly red and beautifully shaped. And I wanted to emulate that growing up. But then I started to read about inhaling nail polish and nail polish remover. And honestly, I had a massive freak out, Andrea. So shed some light, help us out here.
Yes. Okay. This is one of the things. If you don't want to go cold turkey, there are definitely, and when I say cold turkey, just stop using nail polish. If that is not going to work for you, that's fine. There are things you can do. So one, I would say with this, you mentioned the smell. So don't paint your nails inside with the door closed. So you're not inhaling those fumes. Just sit outside, open the window, open the door. That's one thing you can do. There are safer nail polish options. So there's a brand called Sienna Byron Bay that I love, that they are very thoughtful in their ingredients, and they're not using those main ingredients that are used in most nail polishes that we know are harmful. So they're making an effort to give us a safer option. They're all nail polish though is paint. So think about it like that. It's like the paint on your walls. You want to use a lower VOC option. You want to use ones that are not, they're made to last. So they're going to be toxic by nature, but there's better options. And then the other thing I would suggest is figuring out, back to the polish before I switch to this. The remover is a huge one. So the removers are toxic, but what I found is a non-toxic nail polish remover that's soy-based works just as good, if not better, than traditional acetone nail polish removers. And it doesn't dry out your cuticles. It's amazing. Like, I am blown away by this switch. It's better than the conventional. Once you use it, you won't go back. I've used it on all types of polishes. It works. And it just kind of leaves your nails, your cuticles a little almost moisturized, if anything. So not dry at all. It's amazing. So I would definitely suggest a safer polish and a safer remover. Karma Natural is the one I've been using lately. They actually make wipes. So you can just, it looks like a towelette that you use just to wipe the polish off. Or you can get it from the bottle if you like to use a cotton swab or something. I mean, a cotton ball. So better remover, better polish, keep the door windows open or do it outside. Don't do it in an enclosed space. And then also if you can try to figure out taking breaks from your manicure. And one thing that has helped me tremendously with this is because I don't paint my nails like I used to before I had kids because I'm constantly cooking and it's chipping. And so I just really don't polish anymore. But I did before. And one thing that helped me kind of transition is I want my nails to look, just well kept in the meantime. There's a nail kit. It's called Bare Hands, and it has a buffer which polishes the nail so that it actually looks shiny, like you have a clear coat of polish on. It's amazing. So if you can, and it has a cuticle oil. So if you can continuously oil your cuticles and keep your cuticles looking healthy, figure out how to have a good shape to your nails. Glass polish filer is amazing. It's so much better than an emery board. You can get a much smoother finish to your nail that doesn't chip, that doesn't fracture it as easily. It's really, really nice, a glass nail file. So you oil them, you do the nail file, and you do the buffer, and it just gives your nails a natural shine. And I think you will be happier with them in between the polishes. That way you can take breaks in between the polish, because I also find that my nail health does a nosedive if I consistently polish, because the polish on there, for some reason, my nails can't breathe as well. They just aren't as long and strong when I polish them all the time.
Same here. So I do vacation. I haven't completely transitioned out, but I've taken, like, for example, a summer break. So my challenge this summer was to not put any nail polish July and August, because I know that I do a lot of keynotes in September and in June. So I'm going to allow myself, right, a little bit of nail polish, the non too toxic one, for stage appearances, but to back off. And I have to say, Andrea, in the 2 months that I have not been wearing nail polish, they're just huge and long and strong. And I can never have them that long, that strong when I do nail polish. Even
that
the
is so smart. That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear. And it just takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of forethought. Like you're going to have the appearances, and let yourself use it then. And one of the things that I do, so in the summer, I love to have my toes painted because I'm always wearing sandals in the summer. But in the winter, when I never am showing my toes, that's when I give my toes a big break, and I just care for them. And I put butter on them at night and wear socks and just, but I get a long break for my toes in the winter, and the summer that I enjoy the polish. So
did you say butter?
Oh, like a body butter. I love body butters. Nice. I think that tallow butters.
I love butter, and I put beef everywhere I can. Like I literally lather my face with beef tallow. So I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't heard about this. Tell me more."
I should have said tallow butter. I think tallow butter is amazing for the feet too. Because it's so rich.
Love tallow. I'm obsessed with it. So I'm a huge, meat eater. And I think one more place to have my face. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we leave the bathroom, I have one last question, maybe a question and a half. So first, I want to talk about intimacy. I want to talk about lubes, because I see so much crap in the lubes, and that literally goes to the most delicate part of our bodies. And I'm so, so deeply concerned about that. And as, grow into different seasons of our life, lube is a part of our life. So can we talk about that for a moment?
Sure. Yes. And you're right. There are not a lot of clean options out there. And there is one that I found a few years ago. It's called CocoNu, CoConu. And that one is completely clean. That is one that I would recommend. And it's funny you asked, because yesterday someone was asking me that for another option because she couldn't do coconut oil. And so she found one, she scanned it with my app and told me about it yesterday. And it's called Medicine Mama. And I think it looks really good. If you react with coconut oil, that is another option that you should use. You could check out.
I love that you said that, Andrea, as well, because I have a lot of clients that are currently undergoing fertility treatment or trying to conceive. And coconut oil, as good as it is, when you're not trying to conceive, is not that great if you are trying to conceive, because it doesn't work super well with the sperm. So that's another consideration.
Okay. Yes, great. I learned so much from my community. It's amazing. I learn about new products. I just love the feedback that we have. I
I
love to
love
share
that.
this stuff.
Well, while we're talking about babies or future babies, I want to talk about another topic that concerns me is what expecting moms put on their belly to prevent stretch mark. I'm sure you've seen that. You've said that you've had twins. Can you walk us through what's safe and not safe? Because I actually had a little look at some stretch mark preventer creams and I've been horrified thinking that it goes
Wow.
on moms and future baby as well.
That's a great question. And what's really interesting is I'm glad that you told me that because I have not looked at stretch mark creams in a long time because to me, they're all just a glorified lotion or body oil, right? They're not really going to, nothing is, if you are genetically predisposed to have stretch marks, you're probably going to get them. And a cream or an oil is not going to stop it. But what I remember when I was pregnant, because I did rub my belly a lot with oil, is my skin itched so much. I think because it's stretching and you're growing that the itching just drove me crazy. So if you can just find any body oil that is clean, that uses organic oil, cold press or wild crafted oils, that is so soothing for your skin, I would suggest using that. And probably just close the door on stretch mark creams if they have some sort of gimmicky telling you that you're not going to get stretch marks if you use it, because that really just isn't true. They're giving it's a false promise.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I have worked a lot with athletes as well who are concerned
Mhm.
about stretch marks, not because they're expecting, but because of weight gain and weight loss
Mhm.
and having
Yeah.
different seasons in their life. And one thing that I've learned from athletes is that avocado oil apparently is really good to prevent, again, it's not going to be that magic wand, but it's going to be extra nourishing and it works really
Yes.
well with the layers of the skin. I don't know if you have any experience with avocado oil, but that's what I heard.
That's a great tip. I have heard that vitamin E oil, and so maybe it's possible that avocado is high in E. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to check, but that could be part of the reason that's a good one.
Mm. How do you feel about shea butter? Is that something that you've played with before? Do you
Shea
use it?
butter, yes. I think you have to have it can have different smells and it can be sticky, but with the right product, I think it's a really moisturizing, a nice ingredient.
We have so
Yeah.
many different options for things to play
Yeah,
with that are
we do.
safe.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's time to walk away from the bathroom and into another room. Let's talk about the kitchen real quick. What are the worst
Sure. Yeah.
thing that is making our kitchen a dangerous place because of the chemicals?
First thing I would say is nonstick cookware. So anything that claims to be nonstick, it doesn't matter if they say it's PFOA free, whatever they're using to make the surface nonstick, they're not telling us exactly what's in there, and it's probably a fluorinated compound, a PFA chemical. So if you heard of forever chemicals, it's PFAS. There's thousands of them. And they, at one point they said, oh, it's just the PFOA that's toxic. So then they came out with other ones. It's just iteration after iteration of a similar compound that is so toxic. It's used in so many things that it's made its way into our drinking water. So instead of using cookware with a nonstick surface, go for a stainless steel. You can also use cast iron. It's great, especially a really good seasoned cast iron is going to give you a nonstick surface. And if you switch to stainless steel, it's a little bit different, but all it takes is a little bit of trial and error to figure out how to get it to work for you. So like a few tips I have, if you're trying to scramble eggs in a stainless steel pan, you want to let it heat up on medium. You want to be generous with butter or oil and make sure that it's warm before you put the eggs on. Let the eggs cook a little bit before you scramble them. I can do it no problem. I don't have any issues with the food sticking. It just is a little bit of an adjustment period, but you don't want anything nonstick. And that goes for all the different appliances in your kitchen. And getting rid of the plastic storage, food storage. You want glass instead of plastic. I've had my glass over 10 years. It really lasts. It's a great investment. The plastic has chemicals like bisphenol. So BPA is one you hear of. And sometimes if they're BPA free, they might have BPF or another type of bisphenol that's harmful. So you really just want to stay away from the plastic, stay away from the nonsticks. As far as utensils, you want solid wood utensils, solid wood cutting boards. I have awesome cutting board that I love. That's solid wood with no glue. The wood is not glued together, doesn't have mineral oil on it. So you want those wood, stainless steel, cast iron materials. And then in terms of cleaning, you want to avoid the fragrance products. So no fragrance dishwasher tablets or soap or dishwashing liquids. I have some great recommendations for those. It's kind of taken a while for those to get really good, or there's not a lot of them, I would say, but there's a few that really work that I love. And then for cleaning the countertops, you want a non-toxic fragrance-free spray. Just the one that I use is safe, for food surfaces. So no disinfecting the kitchen all the time either, sort of like the bathroom. You just want the basics. I
One
think those are
small
the big ones.
behavior that I've changed when it comes to my habits, particularly around coffees, because I do like having a coffee in the morning. And I, of course, work a lot on the go. So sometimes I have my coffees out. Is I now bring my own coffee mug that is made out of stainless
Nice.
steel. And it's not so much a planet environmental thing. Like, honestly, I'm just being concerned about my health. Like, I think it's nice that it does 2 for 1. So obviously better for the planet.
Yes,
But
that's
the,
amazing.
the truth is, my motivation behind it is because I read a study on microplastic leaching through hot beverages when you drink your coffee in the morning on the go. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and plastic and warmth of the plastic and usage of plastic in or around the kitchen and hot beverages?
Yes, it leaches. You're exactly right. So if you're heating something up in plastic or have something hot in plastic, it leaches into whatever it is that you're consuming. So you never want to heat with plastic. I think if you can, like, I think what you're doing is awesome because it's something that you do every day. So any way that you can reduce your exposure to eating out of plastic is good. And there are times you might be a restaurant, you don't know what they're using. So I just say at home, do the best you can at home, where you can control it. So no plastic in the kitchen. You definitely don't want to microwave with plastic. You don't want to put hot food in plastic. Glass is always best, for food storage.
How do you walk your way around that with little ones, with baby bottles and all the amount of plastic crap for babies out there? Because it's actually quite shocking how much plastic things are made available for babies.
That's so true. So when mine were little, I actually, this is crazy, but I just skipped sippy cups because they're not really good for their development. The plastic sippy cups, skip those completely and bought small borosilicate glasses and taught them how to drink from the cup. And it's amazing. Actually, some of them are quite shatter resistant. I had these ones from IKEA that I bought, and I actually still have them. Just a small glass, and also there are stainless steel cups for kids now, really. And there are options. You just have to seek it out. And kids learn, easier and better than I think we give them credit for. If they drop it once and it shatters, they probably are not going to throw it again. you know, and so we just have to be cautious with them. And I think that stainless steel really, really can step in there if you're worried about using glass around kids.
Thanks. Love that, Andrea. Now let's walk into our last room today, which would be our bedroom and our wardrobe or closet or walk-in closet, whatever the case might be.
Yeah, this is a great topic to bring up. I feel like it's a space that is getting better by the day. I think what people don't realize is our clothes are so toxic. I've been telling people for so long, like, don't use toxic detergent because your body is in constant contact with fabrics, and whatever you're washing your clothes in, it stays on the clothes. It can irritate your skin. If you switch out your laundry detergent, like, think about it, you're in your sheets, you sleep in them all night, and whatever you're washing them in, it could be toxic. So you want a clean detergent, but also the clothes themselves, so much of the clothes that are sold these days are plastic, or literally made from plastic. And they're so toxic, and there's no transparency in terms of the dye. The dyes can be harmful. So what I have been doing, and I think this is an industry that's going to be continually changing and offering us more options. I don't think they're widely available yet, but the categories that you can get really good stuff, it's like underwear. You want to look for organic cotton. GOTS certified is the best. But even cotton, just choosing natural fibers, cotton, linen, wool is so much better than doing things like polyester. So if you can just stop buying polyester, buy cotton underwear. It's in our most private parts. You want cotton there, and it's breathable. It's more comfortable. So cotton sheets, cotton underwear, socks. I find it easier to buy cotton pajamas is another one that's easy to buy, and loungewear. Just start to look for the natural materials when you're shopping. You'd be surprised how much really is plastic. It's wild.
I'm going to tell you a quick story here, Andrea, just to echo some of the things that you said. So I became a lot more aware of the importance of wearing natural fabric for my own health, and particularly because I have some struggles with my thyroid. So I had a bit of a, clean it all, and got to a phase where I became a little bit obsessive about throwing things away that were not cotton. So I was like, oh, no, out of my
Yeah.
sight. But one little thing that I want to share is, as I transition out of polyester wear or even pajamas, where, some of my favorite ones I realized were, containing elastin or polyester. What I realized when I started to wear more silk, more linen, more cotton, is that if by any chance I wore a polyester leggings again the following day, I felt like I was being sealed in. I felt like I had this almost plastic-like container shielding my skin, making me sweat. It felt like I couldn't breathe from my skin. It's a very hard to explain sensation, and one that I honestly was not aware of before I made the transition. But once you go a few months into cotton, into linen, into really breathable natural fibers, and you put back this polyester crap on, you will literally feel like you're, I don't know, like wearing a condom all over your body. It's a very grim description, but that's the
No,
closest I
it's
can
night
help.
and day. It's a night and day difference. And I compare it to, I think there's so many parallels here. It's so true. Once you start wearing the breathable stuff, you just feel so uncomfortable. And the other stuff, it's the same with fragrance and products. Once you stop using everything fragrance, the stuff that is fragrance is so overwhelming and off-putting. You don't want to be anywhere near it. It's like with junk food, if you stop eating fast food and then you were to smell it or eat it again, you'd feel awful. It's like
Yeah.
your body we're just so accustomed to the bad stuff that our bodies just can't even discern. And if you just give yourself a little bit of space, you really can just intuitively start figuring out what is actually good for you and what's not. I think there's a big intuition component here if we just give ourselves some space to use it.
Yes, 100%. I have to say there are a few things that I still make exceptions for, and I'm not happy about it, but I'm on the lookout. So I'm just going to put it out there. Either if you have any advice, recommendation, or if
Sure.
somebody's listening to my cry for help. I'm a runner, and I find that when it comes to running gear, it is so hard, so hard to find really good supportive bra that are just
Mhm.
100% cotton. I'm yet to look for one. I have not found one. Really supportive sports bra, really long lasting endurance socks. As much as I wear
Mhm.
cotton socks for my everyday, when you're looking at, doing a half marathon or a marathon race, huge struggle for anything that doesn't
Sure.
have that kind of polyester coating, unfortunately. And then the running shorts, again, as much as I love my cotton leggings when I do yoga, stretching, etc., I find for the endurance and the anti-chafing and the sort of light feel of it, I have not found natural fabric items replacement. So this is my cry for help. This is my announcement. If anyone has a solution, I would love it.
I hear you and I understand. I don't think that like I said in the beginning, I don't think the industry is there yet, but I'll give you just my take on these few things. So socks, I have been able to run. Now, I'm not running marathons. I'm running like 3 miles, but socks that will work for me that are better. I bought some that are cotton from the brand Quince, Kuince. I can run in those
Really?
for my short run. I can, and I don't have a problem. They do have a little bit of elastic in them, but I think it's better than probably the traditional, right? Because it's an organic cotton. For the bras, I have not found one, but the one I am going to try next that looks promising is called, I don't know how you say it, but it's Lezat. That's the one I'm going
Okay.
to try next.
And
And
just to stop you, Andrea, is it like cotton and elastan still? Because again, I found so many options, but 100% cotton for a bra
yeah, no, they're not.
without elastan.
I absolutely agree with you. There are none that are going to 100% cotton. I think we have to concede a little bit for the stretch when it comes to that high intensity or like enduring exercise fabric. I don't think we're there yet for a completely cotton alternative. I don't know if there's some, maybe there's some innovative fabrics that are going to come out that will allow for this. I'm not really sure, but I agree with you that there's not 100% with no elastane option for
So,
the raw socks, bra, running short. Actually, the bra that I'm going to try, I think is 100%.
Andrea, if you find that and give me the recommendation, I will literally just be so happy and have it be a sponsor for my next
I
marathon.
know. I know. And I've tried a few brands. I don't know if you follow this brand called Izome, Aizome. They're incredible. They're using all natural dyes and super high quality cotton for their stuff. I have their sheets and they have t-shirts that I really love. Not active wear like you're suggesting, but I think they're definitely one to follow for what's coming next in terms of textiles. I will
What do
share what
you
I find.
love it? Love it. What do you wear for your yoga leggings or everyday shorts or comfy,
Yeah.
not endurance, but still like,
Oh,
Pilates,
for
Tai Chi
comfy?
yoga?
Yes.
Mm,
So the best recommendation I got was a brand called Mate the Label. I think they are 100% cotton
great.
leggings. Hmm.
Okay.
Check
I
those
find it
out.
fascinating how so many yoga brands are making such big advert. And I have to say that really irritates me actually. They do advert around being green and saving the planet. And they say our fabric are eco-friendly. And I went on those so-called eco-friendly ingredient and it's recycled polyester. Really? Are you kidding me? Like there is nothing friendly, not for the planet and not for the skin about recycled polyester. Just because it's recycled, actually it's probably worse because now you have recycled plastic that's gone through
Not
another
something you
round.
want to, not something you want to be wearing. It's so weird that it's clothes. It's just so weird that it's clothes. I'm not a total purist with this because I think that plastic has its purpose, but it's definitely not clothes. It's definitely not food containers. It doesn't make any sense to me either. I am encouraged because I've seen some of the really big brands come out with an organic top versus their regular top. So I think that tells me that when these big brands are starting to do that the consumer really is asking for it and things are going to hopefully continue to move in the right direction.
Yes, I love that. But I think it's important to highlight, and I hope you agree, that just because your favorite yoga clothing has a cute green tree on the label and says
Oh yeah,
planet
absolutely.
friendly.
It's the marketing is out of control. And I tell people this all the time. Never buy something that's because it says that it's clean or because it says that it's if it says natural, like it literally means nothing. It's a marketing. There's no legal term for any of this. Like eco-friendly, whatever. Like it does not mean that it's safe. It does not mean that it actually is. What you have to do, you have to understand what is it actually made of. So for products, that's what are the full ingredient list? Like I need to be able to see exactly what's put into this product before I can make a decision. Like the labels, you just have to get that out of your brain. You never want to rely on front labels. You never want to rely, oh, it's sold in this section of the store because none of that matters. And it's very misleading. A lot of times intentionally, sometimes maybe not, but you really just have to shop differently. And that's what I try to help people to do is just to not be so swayed by the marketing. It's very persuasive and confused. It really is a ruse.
It is a ruse. And, one field that I specialize in, Andrea, is burnout. And what saddens me most, and one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on the show today is because when you're burnt out, when you're super tired, exhausted, and overwhelmed, you are actually more likely to go and be seduced by the prettiest, shiniest
Yeah.
object.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Decision fatigue. Yeah.
right. And it gives you a quick fix. It gives you a quick hope. Like, and I was very prone to buying the cutest little potion. You know, it had to be pink and sparkle and smell like cherry. Like, that was kind of my mode of behavior when I was super burnt out. And what's interesting to me is that that particular behavior actually fed another monster, which was my toxic load. But I had no idea. So the more burnt out I was, the more underslept I was, the more exhausted and stressed I was, the more I would gravitate towards the really strong smells, the very big, bold promises, the quick fixes, right?
You're yearning for that. It's such a important point. I love that you're talking about this too, because I find that when people start to choose safer, cleaner products, whatever it be in their home, it has a transformative effect and it bleeds into other areas of your life. So you're more intentional about your health, the way you're sleeping, like you're talking about burnout. You're just more conscious of all these decisions. It seems like it's restrictive, but it's not. It's actually freeing.
I would love to close up and wrap up on what are the perceived real scientific based health benefit to making those natural switches, and why are women in particular navigating different seasons of their life, either going through fertility or conception or pregnancy or perimenopause, should be particularly aware of their toxic load.
Right. So the chemicals that are harmful in our products, we're often told the dose is the poison. But with hormone disruptors specifically, where our bodies are made to detect small changes in hormones. So if this ingredient blocks a hormone receptor or acts like estrogen, it mimics the hormones, it can throw the whole system off. And they've actually linked it to early puberty, which is in girls, and it's a real problem, which cascades into a whole other heightened risk of other health problems. So these daily habits, daily exposures, the toxic load adds up and can really wreck the hormones. Like I was mentioning before, phthalates specifically can affect fertility, the BPAs, all these hormone disruptors. They can affect our fertility, our reproductive systems, development of babies. It's all linked. A lot of the ingredients are carcinogenic as well. So they can increase your risk for certain cancers, your overall health. There can link to immune problems, thyroid problems. And then these are all things that could happen long term. You're not going to see it immediately. But in addition to, what's really encouraging is when people start making these switches, they have immediate benefits that maybe they weren't even expecting. They have less brain fog. They have less migraines. That was my personal experience. I mean, I know what clean air smells like now. You just feel better in ways that maybe you don't expect, with the scary dangers or the long term adding up. You hear about the toxic load, or your bucket gets full and you just don't know where you are on that scale. You're born with toxins in your body that got passed on to you from your parents, and then it continues to add up and add up and add up. So I really think it's important to reduce where you can, especially because we have amazing options. It's why not? And I really hope that our conversation, the conversations that you're having and that we're all sharing, is just giving people easy ways to do this, because it doesn't have to be hard. This doesn't have to be your full-time job.
Andrea, how can our listener get empowered about where they are in terms of understanding whether their life is currently quite toxic or not? Like, how can they find out what is their toxic load? And two, how can they get into your world and benefit from your wisdom and your app to reduce their toxic exposure?
So there actually are tests. There is one called Tiny Health that I know of, that you can test and see what your toxic levels are of things like phthalates and BPA and parabens, and then you follow up and you can see how your lifestyle habits can affect that. But what I really suggest for people, because the number one complaint is this is overwhelming, and so to alleviate that, what I suggest is just change something that you're about to run out of. And it doesn't have to be your favorite product. It can be think about like what you don't love so much, but you need to replace it. So start to find a safer option. And then over time, because This is not, I'm just going to get rid of everything toxic at once. That is likely going to lead to you buying things that you don't need and you don't like, and you're going to feel like you're wasting money. You're throwing things away, you're wasting products. So just switch out as you run out. You'd be surprised at how this can add up. And I have all kinds of resources, ways that I can help people to do this. Every week I send out a free newsletter with one of my favorite switches with a link, what tells you why. So if you're the type of person, just tell me what to buy, sign up for that, and you'll get a suggestion every week. I share a lot of content on Instagram talking about how to do this. I have ingredient deep dives on my blog. The most helpful thing that I offer, that I really built that is tailored to people that are trying to live this way and tailored to my community is my app. It will scan the ingredients in a product and it'll tell you what the concerning ingredients are. And if you want to read about them, I put my descriptions of those ingredients. I put the links to the relevant research. And then the other thing that was really requested is what to buy instead. So I have sort of like a shop of products that I vetted. So you can, shop if you need a shampoo, you type in shampoo, you'll get some options and there's discount codes there. So there's lots of, you figure out what works for you. Different people consume content in different ways. I hope that people listening to this episode sat with this information and feel empowered to go make switches, or even to just stop buying fragrance products or to look for a deodorant that doesn't have aluminum in it. Like there's little things that you can do. And I don't want people to feel like it has to be all or nothing. Like every little thing that you switch is helping that toxic load. So good job if you switched one thing.
And Andrea, where does your app work? Which country and jurisdiction can folks download this app? Where would it work and where might it not work?
So just about all countries, I think. I checked every store that's available on the App Store. Every country that's has the App Store, the app is available. The app is written in English. So what you could do, but the thing is, most beauty products, cosmetics, the ingredients are listed in what's called an international nomenclature. And so it's always the same. So the app will work on almost all labels. If for some reason you have an app that's in a different language, it's not in an international nomenclature, you could screenshot it and I've had people tell me they do this. They translate it and then they scan that image. So you really can use it just about anywhere. I will say that most of the products in the shop that are just products that I vetted are US products because that's where I'm located. But there are some in other countries. Like I have links to the Detox Market, which is in Canada. There's some UK brands. People all over the world, though, use my app, which is really cool when I hear from people that tell me they're doing that. So it really works pretty much anywhere. I'm not aware of any one that has tried to use it that it doesn't work. That makes sense. And it's on Android or Apple. So
the first thing that I'm going to do after this recording is use your app to scan my newly found lipsticks and make sure that it is as clean as I think it is.
Awesome.
I'll send you the screenshot.
Yes, please do. And I'll share it.
Andrea, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. I've learned so much and I really appreciate you taking us through natural, non-toxic switches, one switch at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for spending your time with me today and listening to this episode. Remember to subscribe so that you can receive weekly updates. And if today's message resonated with you, please remember to share it with a friend, a colleague, or a loved one who could really benefit from this episode.